the short back legs make them look very awkward as they move. Very nice question. Thank you, Nitin. Please keep writing to us. It's lovely to have you here from India, where, of course, some of the world's most spectacular wildlife lives. I've always thought, I've been to India once, but I've never seen any of the wildlife there. Tigers, of course, you get lions there, you get leopards there, you get a version of the wild dog. I think you get a bear, you get a number of deer species, you get, I think, a few antelope species, and I even think you get some wolves. So some really astonishing wildlife that you get in India. We're just pulling out on the same road that we came in on. See those warthogs come thundering out of their den. I hope they won't now, because they'll struggle to find it again in the darkness. They seem to be fairly, hopefully safe in another burrow somewhere, free of the lions. Tried to eat them last night. Very unkind of those lions, of course, to try and eat a warthog. Well, if you're the warthog, that is. Now, Miss LeBobob, I hope I've got the pronunciation of your name correct. What are you laughing at, Brian? Miss LeBobob. Miss LaBobob. I haven't got the spelling, so I'm not sure if that's how it's said. You say the termite mound, when the hyenas vacate, will eventually become a home for something else, and so we should have a camera there regardless. I think that's a pretty good point, really, especially as we may see nocturnal things like aardvark come and have a look there. I mean, we could do that, I suppose. It would be a question of resources and trying to get the cabling there and that sort of thing, and the receivers and that sort of stuff. But yes, it might be a good idea. I think you'll find, though, that that den will remain unoccupied when they leave it for some time, because it's a bit smelly. There's a wonderful question coming through here from a name I did not get. It'll come through again, I'm sure. Kirsten. Kathy. Now, Kathy, you want to know how we'd find the new den if and when they move that one. Would we track them? Would we try and sort of, how long would it take? Kathy, we could track them, or we probably would track them. It wouldn't take too long, depending on where the area was. So the last time they moved, Viam and I actually came across this den. They were still, half of the clan was in the other den, and some of them moved here, and Viam and I were on a walk, and quite by chance we heard a hyena calling. We saw one moving, we followed her at a distance on foot, and we found them at the den here. And so we found that one. Steph tracked them to the one before this because he saw lots of tracks around the place. And then once you've found their tracks going in and out of an area, of course, you know that if you find a decent-sized termite mound, you've got a pretty good chance of finding the hyena den itself. So that's how we'd find it. Very nice question. And in fact, another one that we found, you just check also, the first thing you do is start checking old sites, because they will reuse them. And I found, I think it was, in fact, it was Madam and her two newest ones. Initially, they were at the very unsalubrious neighborhood of the den or Philemon's cutline. And that's a fairly sort of small den, and often hyenas will give birth at a satellite den, keep the babies there for a few days, and then bring them towards the central den. And this is not a very large clan of hyenas. I think our viewers have managed to spot 17 adults, which I think is amazing. I can't tell the difference between all 17, but our viewers have managed to do that, and that's fantastic. But there are clans of up to 30 in this area, we think. Certainly around Arathusa and Elephant Plains, they've got an enormous clan there of about 30 adults strong, which is huge. Right, we're going to go and pop past the Djuma Dam Pan once more, and then go up onto quarantine clearings and see what animals have come to spend their night in the clear, where they can see the lions or the leopards or the hyenas coming to get them. And while we do that, let us go across to Scott Dyson, who's finally left Sydney's Dam, and we'll see what he's doing.
So we've got the spotlights out, and now we are searching for any little nocturnal critters that may start poking their heads out of their houses. Possibly a bush baby, maybe an owl. It's been a while since we've spotted an owl. Not sure where they're hiding at the moment. Or if we're lucky, some chameleons, maybe a scorpion. There's a host of different animals that are a lot easier to spot once the sun has gone down. Some because it's physically easier to see them, like the chameleons, who reflect a very pale shade in relation to the tree that they're sitting in, or merely the ones that are nocturnal, that are hiding away during the daylight hours. I hope you enjoyed your last few minutes at the hyena den. I've just seen some eyes reflecting back at me. No, it's an antelope. There's a little duiker somewhere through that little gap, and we don't shine on the daytime animals. We will only, well, once we've established what they are, we don't want to cause them any unnecessary stress. And understandably, if you were a prey item and somebody shone a big bright light in your face and you couldn't see anything, then you would feel terrified. So we don't do that. And that's probably what is a large reason why we don't spend too long out after dark. It is not easy to film, and it can be intrusive if you are using the spotlights and a lot of lights to illuminate your subjects, and we don't want to do that too much, I guess. But it's standard practice on safari to come home in the evening with spotlights. And you'll probably find the game viewers are getting back a little bit later than we are at the moment, and they're probably also heading out a little bit later than we are at the moment. But we try and plan our safaris to be more daylight than night light. Oh, well, Mr. Henry has found one of the critters that I've been speaking of. You're in for a treat.
Look at that, everyone. Scott very kindly said that I found that small critter, which is a flap-necked chameleon. I did not. Brian found it with his hawkish eyes that he managed to find that painted reed frog with earlier. And you can see, I mean, that is really an impressive spot. And if you're wondering which piece of that picture is the chameleon, it's the sort of minty green bit in the middle. It's a very small chameleon. It's only about 1.5 inches across. Resting quietly, thinks it is invisible, but is not. Isn't that pretty? Very few chameleons again this year. Not enough insects for them to eat. That's brilliant, Brian. Well done. Okay, what we're going to do is sneak around the corner. There's a herd of elephants here. They're drinking at the pan. I'm going to move very slowly towards them, and I'm going to turn the lights off because we don't want to shine the light on them. That will make them upset. And I just want to spend a bit of time with them, perhaps in the dark. If they show any signs of discomfort, I'm just going to move away. But it is so nice. Elephants in the dark is what's very special. Oh, they're disappearing. They're going off across the dam. You just see their dark silhouettes going. And there are a few still drinking at the pan. We'll just move up there. Very slowly. Keep our distance. Just switch off all the lights and see if you can hear them moving in the darkness. Brian will probably be able to get a few of the silhouettes as they move across the dam here. Brian, do you want to kill my light too? Just listen. You can probably see it quite nicely on the dam camera. That's a water thickney calling. I know that's not a brilliant picture, but just try and absorb some of the atmosphere of these elephants. Gentle breeze blowing in. Lovely sounds of the birds. You hear a blacksmith plover calling their blacksmith lapwing. You can see the Ellie's trunks just swinging there. That's the water thickener calling. You may have been able to hear the elephant going, oh. And that was a signal for those three to move off and go and join the rest of the herd. Isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing? So they got a signal, a very definite call from the matriarch, who obviously said, it's time to go. Come on, you youngsters, let's move on, go and find something to eat. I think elephants in the dark is just one of the most special things to experience. You can hear them talking to each other. Low rumbles. And there is the fiery-necked nightjar. Okay, everyone, that's going to be it from Brian and I this afternoon. Thank you very much for your comments and questions. You really do keep me going on these quiet drives. It's wonderful to talk to you and have your conversation as we go along. Thank you, Brian, for your efforts today. I'm sorry I didn't find you anything particularly spectacular. Well done to the thumb. Thank you to Kirsty and Leanne in the final control. The hyenas are calling just to where Scott Dyson and VMR. We'll hand you over them for the last few minutes, and we'll see you in the morning at 0500. Bye-bye.
Well, what a great way to finish off what's been an entertaining safari. At least I think it's been entertaining. And you guys have the benefits of being on both vehicles, so you guys are definitely the winners. And strong finish by Mr. Henry, finding a chameleon and also enjoying the rumbling gurgles of some elephants, which is a great sound to hear. We are skirting along the western edge of quarantine in the hope that we may find some of the resident white-tailed mongoose that roam these plains at night. They're a nocturnal mongoose. Or who knows, maybe Karula, the queen of Djuma. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jamie and Brent are on leave at the moment. So it's going to be James and myself as your only safari guides until about the 4th or 5th of March. But there is good news.